Thank you so much for that, Valen. Now, automotive retailer Motus has retrenched 86 employees from its workforce. It's a decision that underscores the challenging economic landscape facing the South African motor sector. The retrenchments come as one of the largest interventions orchestrated by the Motor Industry Staff Association, that's MISA, in 2025. It's driven by intensified competition, particularly from an influx of Chinese brands that have significantly pressured local operators. Initially, up to 900 employees were threatened with remuneration and benefits realignment. However, MISA's sustained engagement led to a significant reduction in the number directly impacted. For more on this, we're joined by the spokesperson for the Motor Industry Staff Association, MISA, that's Sonia Carstens. Sonia, appreciate the time. A Happy New Year to you. It may not necessarily be happy, however, for the 86 employees who are said to be retrenched here. Let's just talk about the exact pressures really facing South Africa's motor industry and Motus, of course. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us. So, yes, indeed, it's not a happy new year for the 86 people that's been retrenched by Motus at the end of December. Motus informed MISA on the 6th of October that it was, in terms of Section 189 of the Labour Relations Act, that it had to start with a retrenchment consultation process. This came just 1 month after Motus reported only a 1% decline in their revenue, down to 112.60 billion for the year ended June last year. According to Motus, in our first consultation, and I'm referring to the division of Motus Retail, they said that they have a bloated wage bill. So they've got 4,264 employees, and of that amount of employees, they needed to possibly retrench 258. We managed through consultations to get that figure down to only 86. But in the current economic situation, 86 is still a very, very high amount of people to lose their jobs. Then there was a second group of people affected by the restructuring process, and this group was another 900 employees, where they had to take benefit cuts and remuneration cuts. So with that group, we managed to get them down to 46 employees. But those employees, as of today, are faced with benefits and remuneration cuts. Some of those cuts are up to 29 to 30% of your total cost to company package, which is very severe. Yeah. We believe that this is not necessarily fair. In the consultation process, one of MISA's senior labour advisors, Ngoni Gaba, said to Motus that we understand that you've got a bloated, as they call it, wage bill. Yeah. But then when you are overweight, you go on a diet and you gradually lose weight by eating right and making better life decisions and exercising. But the CEO of Motus, Gideon van Rensburg, replied to say, no. He compared this to a plane that's struggling to fly. And if the plane is struggling to fly, you have to get rid of the cargo. And this is what has happened here.
I mean, I'm not so sure that if you're getting rid of the cargo includes humans. It's a bit of a weird analogy that he used, I think, on that one. But nonetheless, were all options fully explored here? Because it often feels that when an industry is put under pressure, motor or any other industry for that matter, we've seen it in mining, we've seen it in steel industries, etc. as well. The moment there's any pressure, the first people to go are always going to be the employees. And yet, in the good times, they're the ones who are meant to aid and push and help all these companies. One, their share prices go higher, investors and all those people that invest in those companies get better dividends, etc. and the like. But the workers are not necessarily the ones who reap all those benefits. Have all ways to deal with this really been explored here, Sonia?
Well, we're not comfortable that it has, and that's why MISA did not sign the agreement with Motus. For instance, Motus was considering closing underperforming dealerships, but then they decided even if they did that, it would not be sufficient to address the overcapacity or bloated wage bill on a national scale. We believe that there should have been a gradual implementation of whatever reduction to benefits and salaries they wanted, and a turnaround time. For instance, if you take a salary reduction of 20%, to help the company. You have a turnaround time, you give the company until a year to rectify whatever problems they have, to turn the ship around, to start becoming profitable again. So Motus's problem was that, according to them, they've lost brand market representation. So in 1919, they had 91.3% of the brand market, but in June 2025, that was down to 80.6% of the brand market. But this is not something that has been unique to Motus. We've had several other large motor groups struggling with the same problem this year due to the influx of the Chinese brands. And what did they do? They simply incorporated Chinese brands into their selection of dealerships to minimize this impact. That's something we did not see Motus doing. So we believe there's quite a few other alternatives that Motus could have explored, it's especially, like you said, in this very, very difficult situation where we're not creating jobs at South Africa. Our economy is not growing. We can't afford more people to lose their jobs.
Yeah, if we just think about the brands that Motus has here, we're talking about very large brands, right? The likes of Kia, etc., are really important for them. They also operate in South Africa, where it's about 54%, I think, of their revenue comes from. Then you still have Australia and I think the United Kingdom, which is a key part of it. And yes, they'll speak about market dominance no longer being as it was in the past. But vehicle sales have certainly spiked up since that market dominance. So it may not be the same value in terms of dominance because competition does creep in, but they still have greater vehicle sales than they did before. So does that argument really hold water? Just because you have other entrants in the market, should you not be looking at ways that you innovate as a business? And obviously I'm talking about Motus and not necessarily the Motor Industry Staff Association here.
Well, you're quite right. Other big dealerships have looked at other ways of implementing ways to mitigate. There's quite a few measures they could have considered. So if you just look at new vehicle sales in October and November, last year, they spiked for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. We've had new records set with new vehicle sales. Also, the Trump export debacle has not affected us as we suspected that it would. So tides are changing, and there's really light at the end of the tunnel for the retail motor industry. And that's something that we say Motus could have managed just to steer through the stormy waters so that they can minimize the impact. But they were not prepared to go. It's quite clear that they've got profit margins that they need to meet as a division, as Motus Retail, and that's the only thing that they are set on doing.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way as well, especially when you see that numbers only dropped by, it was 1%. And even in cases like that, it's supposed to be about a re-strategizing and a reconfiguration, one would think. And we're actually asking Motus to come on the show and let's perhaps have this discussion and talk about this a little bit further. Please, you do have right of reply as Motus. Beyond Motus itself, though, if you can talk to me about just the impact of the Chinese brands that have entered South Africa's market, and I suppose global markets really, because we have seen South Korean brands being there for the longest time, but the Asian or the Chinese influence has really shaken the market. How much disturbance has that created for the industry?
it created a lot of competition in the industry. So you've got now have new vehicles that's comparing to used vehicles, to traditional brands, which are much more expensive. But you can buy, instead of buying a used car, you can buy a new Chinese vehicle for the same price. You've got Chinese vehicles competing with each other. In other words, you literally consumers go from dealership to dealership saying, okay, my this car can offer me this. Now, what can you offer me? Package deals. So the competitiveness amongst the brands has increased tremendously. But that's not necessarily a negative thing. As the retail motor industry in general, the industry is growing. The industry has grown from an industry representing, I think, 302,000 in 2024. Last year, we were up to 309,000 people. So our industry continues to grow. This is an industry that creates employment opportunities. So we as a trade union encourage our members to adjust, um, uh, uh, upskill yourself, but be able to sell any brand. In other words, if you're not going to work for, let's say, Toyota in the future, you might work for Jetour, and that's something that we all need to realize. Times are changing, the markets is changing, and we need to adapt ourselves, and we equipped our members
Yeah.
to help with this transition.
Does that mean that the second-hand motor industry is also finding, I'm not going to say collapse, because I think that's probably a bit dramatic, but it's certainly going to find it difficult to find a footing if the costs of new Chinese vehicles are similar to that of an older vehicle that you would have bought second-hand in the past? Does that mean the second-hand industry is really facing a tough time as well?
Yes, they are. So if you look at, for instance, We Buy Cars, they already announced that they had to take a good look at their pricing structure, and they had to drop their prices significantly because of this. So uh, uh, it's all over the industry. Yes, it's got a severe impact on second-hand cars, but there are ways to get around it. There are ways to still be an attractive option for your customers. But you need to know your brands, you need to know your market, you need to be excellent, for instance, on your aftercare, on your sales. We see too many complaints at the National Consumer Commission about second-hand vehicles, especially second-hand vehicles, and that's something that people also read before they go out and buy a car. That's something that will be influencing consumers' decision.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to really watch this industry. I think this is something we're all going to have to look at. Is there a recalibration happening in South Africa's motor industry, maybe even on a global aspect? We see the struggles out of Germany also coming to the fore. Sonia Carstens, thank you so much for the time this morning. Really appreciate it. Spokesperson for the Motor Industry Staff Association. As we see Motus there looking at retrenchments of at least 86 people, more than 500 said to be impacted.